How's it going, Jack?
I'm feeling great. Really great.
I think there's been some signs and wonders that you've been missing actually, and I'm wondering if any of these things have cropped into your mind yet. Like going to Israel or Syria or anything like that, Middle East.
I had a couple years ago. I there was a couple of signs and connections in Israel, and I thought I was. This was before the conflict and all this nonsense started, but I thought I was heading that way, and I actually in the future that I pray to. I want to travel. In my dreams, Jack's success will be conceptually living out of a suitcase for a couple of years, right? Traveling around to different places, whether it's RV or airplane or whatever. Israel may be in the future because it's got a lot of history, and that's what I want to discover. But my first priority is let's make it a safe world so everybody can travel safely.
See, but I think there's a gap that you're missing there. Why wouldn't it be you are there making history, in Israel, talking about negotiating, about Syria and being part of and meeting those politicians and being in the rooms somehow some way. I mean, I don't know how it plays out, but I
I
mean,
love
I
it.
even get visions of you seriously like being there in Syria negotiating for the Palestinians, negotiating for the Kurds, negotiating for the regular Syrian civilian, carving it up, making sure Israel's secured. Donald Trump's there, being Donald, whatever, taking all the credit for everything you do, whatever.
He can have it. Yeah,
you know, and
he can
and
help
you
it happen. You're right.
you sitting on the Western Wall, wailing like an Orthodox Hebrew, somehow making it happen out of a suitcase, and you know, um, I think it could happen. I think it could happen. Why not learn learn about Syrian history? Really get into the Old Testament prophets like Zechariah and Isaiah talking about a lot of this stuff. And maybe it is you, Jack. That's the thing. I have faith in you. I have faith in God. So I just wanted to kind of come up and ask you about that because I haven't heard you really mention anything about it, and I've been trying to drop hits in the chat, but they seem to go unnoticed. So
Thank you for your persistence and the question. DeFreak, that idea you shared, I share that. There is a way that that can become a reality because that's kind of a step after where I was thinking. I truly, somehow, some way, I believe America and the world could be a better place if somehow I could meet Donald Trump and his new team there at the White House in DC, whether it's electronically or physically, whatever. And then I believe Donald Trump can. He can take all the credit. I want to help whoever I want to help the world become greater. And that's the idea. We have the potential. We have potentials and opportunities available for the world to truly reform, to work together to end this slavery system where we've got gangs fighting gangs, whether it's in Sudan or Mexico, or the gangs fighting gangs in America and everywhere else. It's time for us to outgrow the gang lifestyle, the thug life. It's been fun. It made a bunch of people rich, but it's time to change the game.
absolutely, talking about having a come to Jesus moment for like the leaders and the CEOs and stuff. The CEOs they'll look at the employees right in the face, and then they'll sell their jobs out across the sea just to make a couple of options, stock option, bonuses. And that's what's actually happened the last 10, 15 years. They'll
Yeah.
make a great, speech to the company, and everyone will be there excited, ready to, give that last little bit of effort because they might get $200 bonus check on Christmas, and and you better be happy for that $200 because they almost didn't even do that, right?
Right.
And they don't care about the employees as much as they care about those stock options because who knows, maybe they are maxed out on their leverage, their house to whatever they did wrong, whatever. So they need to have a come back to America moment too as well, and realize that the employees are more important than the shareholders who they'll never meet, who they'll never actually really shake hands with, who they'll do nothing but write a stupid like template letter to saying, oh, it was another great year, and you should invest, more, and we're really squeezing those employees to work hard, and all the other BS. And that's part of what you're saying, of how this all is skewed, and it's been skewed against the people for too long, and eventually it will come to a head. I don't know how, but it's a problem, and people are really getting insecure, and they're getting insecure enough to actually like do violence, and that's where it gets really scary.
To freak. Yes, and you're absolutely right. We've got an entire economic political structure that's built on violence. It rewards and generates illusions of scarcity. That's the whole diamond industry. It focuses on consumption and production, sales more than value. The term was just in my head. Scheduled obsolescence, planned obsolescence, right? We've got a dysfunctional society where mankind has literally been at war with mankind and nature, and it's resulted in insanity. Today's a new day, brothers and sisters. I have faith. I'm going to ask you, Hank and DeFreak, help me to stay calm and kind, please. Welcome, Snafu Snap.
Yeah, I hope to stay calm and
Hey,
kind when it's
how's
appropriate.
it feel to have ball lickers licking your balls today, Jack? The Freak and Hank. You got two balls, I would assume. You're not Tom Green.
So
You
yeah,
got the Freak
so
on one ball, Hank on the other ball.
so here's my
licking your
point.
face, Jack.
I want you. I don't. There's people like this guy who wants to
Hey,
use
I
you
was
as a
talking-
weapon.
hey,
They want
black
to use you,
jab
Jack,
nigger.
to take
I was
advantage of other
talking
people
to Jack.
where they can get free hits.
Not the black
I
jab
don't
nigger.
say you should trust
I'm
people like
talking to
those
Jack
characters down
Talcott.
there till
We're
they
trying to
teach
stop
back
war
they
here.
know the lesson first.
Stop this
He
war,
wants to use
Jack.
you as a weapon.
Hank's the nigger. Stop
Hank,
him.
Hank.
Ridiculous.
Well, it's peculiar.
Well, I came to talk to you, Jack, not your ball lickers.
I know. Here, tell you what. Let me give you every opportunity to
Perfect.
succeed.
So let me ask you this. Are you going to California still to help those with the fires?
I don't know.
I would encourage you. There's a lot that you can do if you want to help. You already planned on going to California. Whether your event is canceled or not, you should go because people could use help out there. And that's actually putting shit in action, like what you talk about.
You're right. There's an option to be found there to be explored. So, say I do that. Well, tell you what, at this point, let's not even entertain it because I don't know what is or is not happening. So,
Okay, so let me ask you this. You were so excited to go out to a guru convention, the self-help convention. But now that Jack Talcott could help people in need, why aren't you as excited to say, fuck that convention, I'll go to California to help people in need with what you're bringing?
your narrative is going to be whatever you choose it to be, and for you to choose that narrative, you're short-sighted, and you're really not thinking from my perspective. You're not really thinking as me and what is important to me and why I was going to see. Snafu, I love you, my friend, but you're an example of mentally, you're short-sighted. You've chosen to attack me and you don't understand. So you're literally attacking what you don't understand. And you're
What am I
relying on
attacking
things.
you? Am I attacking
Well,
you now? I'm asking you if you're going to California to help those in need. Not attacking.
Snafu,
I'm not licking your balls like the freak or Hank here.
no one's Snafu, no one's licking anything that's in your mind.
Bro, I literally watched the freak say you're going to Iraq or wherever. You're going to sit with Donald Trump. You're
It
going
was
to talk
Israel. It was
That's not gonna. He
Israel.
can't even get to California to help people in need, and the freak thinks you're gonna be a political world leader. I'm the
Snafu.
friend telling you quit being
Uh-huh.
delusional. He's the
Okay.
ball licker.
Yeah.
Hey friend, seriously, who hurt you? And why are you still so hurt?
I'm not hurt. It's people like you and
What?
others who try and play these games.
Well,
They're
you
called
sound
sheep
like
in
a
wolf's clothing.
victim. Snafu, you
No,
sound
you're
like
a
a
sheep in
victim.
wolf's clothing. You just don't like that you're called out for it. And then people
Actually,
like the freak who love to worship idols and
serious,
love to mock God and Jesus.
Come on, man.
They're going to continue to worship you.
serious question. Are you in the hospital again?
Maybe.
Yeah, it sounds that way. There's an echo behind, and
Yeah,
that
I'm in
gave
a
me
room.
the
I am.
okay. Well,
I'm better
Snap,
now. I'm better now. I stayed overnight. I'm better.
I'm glad to hear, brother.
No, I'm not coming at you at attack. I literally was like, dude, since he already planned on going to California, if his plans got ruined because of the fires, this is a great opportunity for you to go out there, help people, and show people what you're doing, which has been for years, everyone gives you shit about. That's why I was like, don't let, if they canceled the event, just like, don't let that be a bummer because
I
you could
know.
turn this into something good.
I know
That's
you.
what I came to ask you about.
I know you've said that several times now. Okay, I heard you. It's an interesting idea, but I'm being honest. I don't know where I'm going to be.
Look,
Okay?
I gotta also say, Paul Unsaved is not fucking on his 30-day food. That motherfucker's eating. Jeep's in your chat. She's a culted one saying that they should pull the plug on me. Jeeps, you literally think Paul Unsaved is fucking not eating for 30 days? You guys are fucking clowns. He's a grifting, lying sack of shit.
Snafu.
You know that motherfucker got
Snafu.
Twinkies in his armchair.
Snafu.
You know he does.
Snafu.
Okay, go ahead.
Please. We don't know what we don't know. I
So
understand
you're
your
telling me Paul
assumption.
Unsaved has not eaten for 30 days.
I'm
do
not.
know
I
that
am
Paul
not.
Unsaved has not eaten for 30 or has eaten within 30 days.
Snafu. I encourage you to be more cautious. Don't jump to conclusions that everyone is lying. Not everyone is lying. Some people are honest. Even things
So
that
you
may
believe
not.
that Paul has fasted for 30 plus days?
I think it is possible.
Bro, he's drinking chocolate milkshakes saying it's not hard food, so it's fasting. The motherfucker's literally doing milkshakes.
Snafu, why is it so important to you? What is.
Because that's called a lie, Talcott. He's not going 30 days of fasting. That's what's called a lie.
Snafu. What's that, Hank?
Yeah,
Hey,
Officer
I'm kind of
Snaps.
curious about your the California thing. Have you thought about what I said?
Let Hank,
Like, are you
let
taking into
Hank
consideration?
speak. Let Hank speak, please. He's been far more patient than you.
All right, the gay black jabbed witch, you could speak.
So,
Fucking
Officer
nigger.
Snaps, are you willing to retract your terroristic threats against me
Fuck
and
you. You
others?
should be hung by a tree. You should be hanging in a tree, Hank. I stick by
And
what I
that's
said.
why he needs to be re-educated before forgiveness. He needs to be re-educated.
Snafu, that type of language is not appropriate.
What you
You know it's not. In the eyes of God, you know that you are wrong.
no, actually, listen.
You don't
this is
know that you're
biblical.
wrong?
No, this is Michael Slade the demon shit. This is Michael Slade. Hank is a
You're a
self-admitted witch
snafu.
that mocks God.
Snafu.
I have a question
You're
for you,
not.
Snafu.
Go ahead,
Hey,
please.
Snafu, how did you get Tommy to be your son?
Tommy actually stands up against demons and stands for God and Jesus. So Tommy is over target. Unlike you licking Jack Talcott's balls, Mr. Fake Prophet Talcott. No offense, Jack. I'm just saying
You're
to free
very
some all the time.
offensive, Snafu. You are
Not
very
you. You're getting
offensive.
your balls licked by these guys. You shouldn't be offended.
Snafu. No, you're saying things that are clearly untrue. It's just a revelation of your inner thoughts and character. You're
So
imagining.
saying Hank is a jab
Snafu.
black gay witch. That's not true.
Snafu. Why are you imagining men licking my balls?
I witnessed them licking your balls. Big ol'. Okay, what was it? What was your porn name?
Hey, Snafu.
Nutcracker.
Hey, Snafu.
Wait. Jack Walnut or something? What was your porn name?
Snowball
Snowball
Walnut.
Walnut. That's right. You were Snowball Walnuts. We've been watching people lick your balls for a long time. Pornhub ain't got nothing on Jack Talcott.
Hey, Snafu, did you cast a spell on Tommy?
No, Tommy just understands real versus fake. And forgiveness could be the thing. Hey, honestly, Tommy and me cupcaking could be just like the thief on the cross. Forgiveness is real, and me and Tommy have forgiven each other and move forward and stand for Jesus and God.
You
Thief
two
on
are
the cross is
enablers.
fitting, because how could we sit here and actually believe that you were actually trying to prosecute Tommy this whole time when now you guys are cupcaking with each other, and
Do you want to
it was
lick my
all
balls
manufactured,
too?
wasn't it?
Will
It
you
was
tell me, hey,
the
you
whole
could
thing
lick,
was
I'll pick out
manufactured.
one ball for you to lick.
How could we think that it wasn't all manufactured somehow? Like it was all fake.
Oh, hey, I
Did you
think.
leave?
Is this our friend God is real again?
Yes, sir. Did this guy just seriously tell us Illumitami is somebody we should take seriously? Is it?
Yes. He literally told
This
us
is
that.
what I mean, Jack. This is Hank. You see what I mean? These people are nuts. They're
Exactly.
nuts. They
Yes.
are nuts.
Which is why I recommend re-educating him. I mean, we could send him a care package. We kind of know where he is. So,
Hey, God is real. Here's the unfortunate reality, though, as well. Snafu and Tommy are very proud of identifying themselves as Christians. And they literally.
Oh, God.
What's that? Yeah.
Well, I said, oh, God, because, I mean, you know, the Knights Templar were technically Christians, too, until they were burned and executed.
exactly.
Very, very true. Well, and they've gone out of their way to try and prove that Jack is nothing like Jesus. And so they show themselves to have no qualities like Jesus. It's a bizarre paradox, but brother, God is real. That's what I know for sure. And hey, I was trying to put the pieces together. You and your family doing good?
Yeah, man, you know, it's about as good as the 40,000 people being rehomed can at this moment, but, you know, just praying for each other, praying for the world, right?
You know, yeah, yes, and here's where I'm wondering. I did by invitation and opportunity. I scheduled myself to go to a gathering here in a couple of weeks in LA. But with this, I'm wondering, are they going to continue the training? Because in some aspects, you know, life goes on, so to say, but what is going on?
Well, it's I think it can be chalked up to the non-conspiratorial side of things is essentially, terrible government maintenance of the bush maintenance, the forest, the hillage, the bush areas, just horrible government maintenance. And then the conspiratorial side of it, of course, we can get into the spiritual side of things, like I was mentioning yesterday very briefly. It is Los Angeles, California. It is the city of angels. And if you look at the only angels on earth, according to the religious manuscripts from the Judeo Christian books, right? The Abrahamic texts, whether it's the Quran or the Bible or the Torah or the Kabbalah, these Nephilim, these fallen angels, it's just everything that's going on without ranting. I'm sure you guys can all kind of smell what I'm cooking here. There's something about LA. If you've ever been to LA, if you've ever lived in LA, very bizarre place, very materialistic place.
I've only been there like once or twice. In 2018, I went to a couple of events there in LA, walked the Hollywood Strip and all the stars, and it was fascinating. But I've always, I grew up in the woods. I'm a small town boy. Big cities were not in the past my comfort zone. There's something going on, and there's messages and signs in everything. And these fires, they're revealing a number of things: failures of the governance, failures of the administration, failures of, you know what? It's showing a lot of failures, and there's a lot of families who are dealing with the real life consequences. I've just heard bits and pieces, but the manipulation from these insurance companies denying people's fire claims in the midst of the fires going on, people are finding out their investments are gone, all their hard work, all their memories. That's shattering. And the thing is, for those without faith, it's even worse. For those without family, people to turn to, they don't know what to do. And that's scary. But I see a future. Seriously, America has everything prepared. God's aligning everything. 2025 is ours. It's been given to us so far. The year is ours to create. And we've got to take what is, and we can see many opportunities. Every problem is another opportunity for improvement. And we get the right people together doing the right things, magic happens, miracles are transformed. And here we can start at home in America, because I actually think that's the path. I think that's the purpose. You start cleaning things up at home individually, in the house, in the neighborhood, in the community. You start cleaning up things at home, and then you work on the outside. Well, the US in its development, beyond the years of traditional slavery into the economic slavery, we've been playing this real life game of war,
Oh
the
yeah.
militarization.
Yeah, and there's so many variations, like don't get me wrong, the real estate aspect of it, we saw it in Hawaii. We've seen these false flag terror events, whether it's World War One, two, the Gulf of the Bay of Pigs and the Gulf of Tonkin. These situations that have occurred over time, just in our close to 300 years of being founded as the United States, excuse me, you can see time and time again there's malicious things going on. I can speak just for where I live in the Calabasas area. The Kenneth fire, there was a gentleman that was arrested, right? He was starting fires in that bush ridge. So they arrested him. So God knows what's going on. But the reality is, these areas where people live, not everybody there is a rich celebrity. They're normal people too. And I think the people of California are often kind of labeled as the problem, with the left in this country. But you got to realize that's a lot of people. It's one of the biggest economies in the world, the biggest agricultural resource, in that area, the Western hemisphere of the U.S. So it's like people of California are very integral to our culture. They always have been. And the level of, uh, mismanagement and just godliness that's taken over this place says a lot for society as a whole. And you're right, as Americans, I think we have the largest responsibility in the world to rekindle this flame that's clearly been out for too long.
I have a question for you. Do you know? Does anyone? Is there anyone that you know that voted for Kamala Harris where you're at?
Oh, I'm sure plenty. That's why they call it the Blue Wall, Oregon, Washington, and California. But there's a lot of Republicans too. It's just California always ends up being blue because of the overwhelming Democrat votes. I think the reality is, though, at this point in time, the donkey elephant kind of conundrum. It's the same thing as the NFL or the NBA. What team are you on? What color do you choose? So I think the things why I respect Jack is because the things he talks about go way over the head of these people, because they're looking through this construct of, am I an elephant? Am I a donkey? Am I a liberal? Am I a conservative? But what Jack's talking about is beyond this matrix of control. And yes, it seems far fetched. Like I said, when I first found Jack, I was like, what the hell? What are you talking about? Right? I used to have a professor in school. He would talk about the first 100,000 theory. You can't get 100,000 people to show up. And I've mentioned it on here before. You can't get 100,000 people to show up willing to risk their reputation, their careers, their livelihood. And that's the problem. But just with simple numbers, if we could just stop participating and figure this out together, man, would things change. So, of course, Jack seems crazy. Jesus seemed crazy too,
Yep.
and I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass, Jack, but it's just facts are facts. I know a lot of people like Jack. They're not just on YouTube, they're all over the world. You got to understand, we're living in a time where the battle between good and evil is in our face, I think, than ever before.
Yes, but we have to remember there's other ways to make pressure other than numbers. We could get a mechanical advantage and make pressure with fewer people, so we don't really have to wait for the numbers if we know the pressure points.
That's kind of where I'm aimed at. And hey, God is real. Thank you. This is what you said is what gives me comfort. I know I'm not alone. I mean, in the communities I find myself and some of the conversations, I might be the one who sounds weird, but there's a lot of knowledge and wisdom being shared and learned all around this world. We're living at an amazing time. There's many
Yeah.
prophets, many messengers, and here, God is real. You're here and now with me. Those of you who are here and now with me, you're a part of this adventure. God's got something for us. It's coming. Amazing things, greater things, because we are the radical new that has been sent here to the world. Jesus was the leader. That's the one who I follow. I pray, I
And
pray.
that's what gets me going. It's like the concept of, oh, well, if he's talking like this, he must not have an education. Well, what's his career? He must not have a job. I find that ironic because most of these people I encounter and actually get to dig and fish with, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, they're absolute losers in comparison to the credibility I've created in my life, in my short life. I'm not even an old person. So it's that argument is so moot. It's the higher intellectuals that are so obsessed with the spiritual, whether it's the occult or religion, that gets me to understand, as a wise human being, you begin to, as closer you get to death, you begin to realize what's more important. And that's where, it's like the Mahatma Buddha, the great soul they call them, he would say to live is to suffer. When you look for satisfaction through your life, when you try to control your happiness and don't appreciate it for the random moments it arrives, you're always going to be in a state of stress and anxiety, right? Life is a gift and treat it so. Do the best you can, and when you don't get what you want, so what? At least you're here.
Brother, I
And
love that.
Jack, my house is burning down. You'd think I'd be cussing everybody out right now.
You know what? Amen.
Wow.
And praise God. Yes, for your strength, your faith. You're a shining example. And I trust that's what the divine does with us is, we want to grow in our refinement. We're going to get opportunities to shine. And you've got plenty to be angry about. But like you said, the greatest suffering is, what was it? Not finding the appreciation for the random moments of your lives.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to live is to suffer. Right. And I often point people to like Asia, where you have over 2 billion people. And these people are not the biggest home. You guys can look this up. The biggest home in the world. It belongs to the Ambani brothers. It's in Mumbai, India. It has like 8 Olympic sized swimming pools, 4 helipads. It's like 10 or 15 stories. And right next to it, a mile away, is a big pile of dung and homeless people. But
So,
there's, there's an understanding they have about reality. And we as Westerners look at them and go, oh, they're just a bunch of third world idiots. But it's about getting on in the reality you exist in. Okay, can you imagine being an untouchable in India, covered in dirt, barely getting water every day? Like, come on. Like, but those people don't want to go all French revolutionary and raid the rich guy's house a mile down the road.
Right.
Call it crazy, call it what you want, but they learn how to coexist.
Men and women can cope, and that's been part of my criticism with the evolution of religions and government. People have used those as coping mechanisms so that survival is achieved. There's people who are coping with some pretty miserable conditions, like you pointed out. The untouchables in these different cultures, the just absolute poverty right in the face of exorbitant wealth. It's just the disparity. It's unbelievable, and yet it's real. And so that's why I actually think it's time for the people who are in a place of comfort. It's time for us to stand up for those who have less. And if we're not noticing, and this is how it's all been worked, is through the division. Everyone's focused on their own pains, their own problems, their own limitations, and that's part of what we need to do. But we lose sight of what other people are dealing with.
Right, right. And I think that's the biggest by nomenclature when you're looking at it's really an oxymoron, because as normal middle class people, I always say we have a system built for sociopaths, right? When you look at us, just normal people in your society, in your community, generally the majority of us would do the right thing when the duty would call upon it, right? Whether it's someone in need, someone in danger, we would spring out of our way and try to do the best thing we can until the police arrive, whatever, right? So you think, why doesn't that apply to the people at the top? And it's these very conspiracies, it's these very things that we're not taught in school that we have to learn when we get older and start to understand why things are so effed up, that you begin to go, okay, clearly there's not good people who have good parts of their soul charging their agenda, running the world. Because if that was the case, the world wouldn't be so effed up.
yes, but how does it even work? Are they are they sociopaths because they have power, or if I was a sociopath, do I just get power? How does it work? Maybe we should become
It's
sociopaths ourselves, get the power, and fix it ourselves.
Well, that's
Well,
what
and Hank, this is why Hank, I'm sorry to interrupt, Jack, but this is Hank and I have talked about this a long time before. He doesn't really remember me, I don't think.
I
But we
do.
met on, yeah, okay, so we met on, I tried to tell you in the chat, but I don't think you caught, but we met on Unchained Mind, Dave, Sovereign Dave, the flat earth guy, right? And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I've always been tuned into the panel verse ever since it's been popping off, in and out. Sometimes I gotta have a baby, life kicks up, whatever, right? Marriage and all that. But I always tune back in, and Hank's always been that kind of guy to me where, like, he doesn't go for the orthodox narrative. He questions it, but he means well. And I get what you mean, Hank. I get what you mean. I just think that the whole point of the victory here is to show them we don't need to be like them. Right? The New World Order, if you look at the back of the US dollar bill, it's written in Latin, Novus Ordo Seclorum. It means the new order of a secular age, correct? So you can, yes, be a billionaire, be a whatever you want to be, try it. But the majority of us just spend most of our lives attempting it and we never get there. It's like George Carlin, the great comedian, said, it's all a big club and you're not a part of it. Mic drop.
he
Yeah,
was
I
speaking
need to
truth.
test my
He
metal. I
left.
don't know if I'm like them or not. I'm not fully settled with the matter personally, so I'm not quite sure if I'm like them or not. But I'm willing to test it.
Well, it was the
Well,
question you asked. Why shouldn't we be sociopaths, right? And that was my response to that question. I wasn't talking about your character or your intentions.
Yeah.
hey, not to interrupt, but to interrupt, the freak, you've had something waiting in the back for a while. Uh, should we bring this up?
Sure, we can bring it up if you like. Yeah, it's Isaiah 17. I've presented this before in different places, but it's a prophecy, and it's something that you can, um, it's a surety because Damascus. If you look up Damascus, like Wikipedia or whatever, you'll see that it's never been razed as a city. It's never been totally destroyed all throughout antiquity, but we're seeing that now. And
Hmm.
so we can see that prophecy is coming to pass in this moment right now. So if we read this a little bit, I'll tie it into what the significance is with you, Jack, and that is I'll start now. The burden of Damascus. Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. The cities of Araware are forsaken, and they shall be for flocks. Those are Christians, which shall lie down, and none shall make them afraid. The fortress shall cease from Ephraim, who conspired with Assyria at a certain time, and the kingdom from Damascus, and the remnant of Syria, and they shall be as the glory of the children of Israel, saith the Lord of hosts. And in that day it shall come to pass that the glory of Jacob shall be made thin, and the fatness of his flesh shall wax lean. So anyhow, what I want to discuss here is it talks about the cities of Araware and these other places in Syria that will become basically Christianized. That's what we're going to see next in Syria. A lot of these places, I think, could be useful in terms of the Turks hate the Kurds, the Iraqis hate the Kurds. They've been shuffling around in Syria for so long. They could actually find a home there in Syria. The Palestinians actually could make a claim there, and make find a place there and make a claim and live at peace with Israel somehow. There's other factions of the Syrian population that can do the same thing, but someone has to facilitate that. And then also, you've got the how do I say, kind of the guilt of World War II hanging over Germany all the time for the Germans. Anytime something comes up, they bring up the Adolf thing or whatever. What we could do is you could have Germany protect Israel on their Syrian flank for 50 years, and that will go a long way to eliminating that guilt. And so there's just a lot of opportunity there. And I think Jack. I mean, you're the one talking about it. Why not you? So that's all I wanted to say, Jack.
Brother, I appreciate it. That's kind of the question I was asking myself a while ago. Why not me? Why can't I do more? Why can't, well, the more I turn to God sincerely, what applies to me applies to all of us. I'm I'm a pretty ordinary dude.
Well, the projection is so real, right? Like you say it every time you do a stream, but they want to push you, they want to distract you, derail you, get you into your emotional state of mind where you're in your lower vibration, right? And you're not able to connect with God. What are you connecting with there? Demons, the devil, right? And so it's like projection at a professional level. You got to give it to these trolls, you really do, because they've created a mastercraft in throwing somebody throwing somebody off of their their A game. You're in a flow state of mind, right? Shout out to flow state. And it's
But
just like you're kind of just you're not there anymore because they're just throwing you off. You say it every time, and that's what drives me crazy. Is like, where do you guys get this shtick that he's some psycho cult leader? I see more cult leader behavior on other panels than I ever do here. If anything, this is like a classic, Jimi Hendrix Christian kind of hippie chill vibe that you put on, and they're like, no, no, we must watch out for this Charles Manson figure. Like, what? Are you guys nuts? It's so crazy. People are crazy, man. The internet is undefeated not because of good things. Most of the time, the internet's undefeated because it's just this force that's unreckoned.
Yeah. Hey, there's something in the back chat that's going on. Snafu and Hank are going at it, but it's like, Snafu is saying how Hank is, jabbed or whatever. There's no way Snafu is sitting in the hospital all this different times and not been forced, literally forced to take the jab. So why don't you just knock it off, Snafu? Like, get real.
It's insanity. It is a spiritual experience we're sharing. And God is real. You're seeing it. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Just hearing others confirm, it helps me, my heart. You're seeing the craziness.
Amen to that, brother. And I think that's a perfect segue for me to go and let you and Freak take over. But, I always love chiming in. And I always feel, if you don't notice, I always pop in when the crazies start to, if you haven't noticed, Jack, it's maybe twice a year I do it. I'll start to show up more often because I do love the conversations you have. It's just, I'm very self-aware, and I know that I have a tendency of over talking, and the passion, when it starts to bleed, those muscles engage in the mouth and you can't stop, right? So I tend to stay in the chat for that reason. It's a discipline I need to work on myself. But thank you for having me on as always. And dude, yeah, you got good people that are doing just great in real life, as these clowns say, IRL, in real life, that are very into what you have to say, bro. It saves me a drive down to the church sometimes just listening to you, So don't you ever forget it, brother. God bless you, and you take it easy. And DeFreak, it was great talking to you, man. That was an awesome sermon you showed us. Thank you.
Thank you. And best to you. Lord be with you with your situation down there. So
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Where there's a will, there's a way. I appreciate it. God bless you guys.
Amen. What a blessing. Sincerely.
hey, Jack, you remember how great it was to be young and full of life and so happy and ready to take on the world?
I am.
You are. I mean, I'm jaded by now, but Chris, that young man there, he kind of reminds me of the old me.
It's there. That is the true you. We are that which is filled with life and love and potentiality. And here's another bright star. Let's see how it shines. Welcome,
DeFreak,
brother.
the old you is not a Punjabi. You're not a Punjabi Arab, DeFreak.
Why are you Safu's little boy now?
I don't even want to acknowledge that, but Jack,
how did Safu become your daddy? Like, what's the deal? Was that whole thing with
you better kick him out of here?
Fake, wasn't it?
I don't play this faggot daddy game. I told Hank, I told you, it only applies to Paul Enslaved. Nobody else out here has daddy issues, so when you guys play this little daddy matchup game, you guys sound like a bunch of faggots.
So when did you start reporting channels before you and Safu got on board?
Cite your proof that I've reported channels. I'm not up here to talk to you, fat ass. I didn't let you up on my channel.
One time that you've reported a channel before you and Snafu were in bed together.
You could kick him out of here?
I don't have to talk. I mean, you can talk to Jack, whatever,
My sentiments exactly.
I'm just saying.
That all of it, I thought you said you didn't have to talk. I know you have to eat. You got to get ready for that sitting contest. You're going to wreck Paul Enslaved.
Did you have something to...
Nobody sits like you, DeFreak. So do you know that Hank's major malfunction all this time has been he alleges that he's taking Snafu very seriously about burning him at the stake?
Is that what you wanted to get off your chest?
Get off my chest? That he's your boy. I was telling you so you can do something about it.
Well, I can't control Hank. You know that.
But you can have conversations with him.
Welcome, Goblin. Well, you can have conversations with Hank too.
Oh, I tried. It's a fucking pain in the ass, and I had to fucking block him because all he does is tag me.
So
maybe follow me around.
Officer Snaps apologize for his terroristic threats and then retract.
Take it up with him, but you wait till I find something in the past that was far harsher than somebody saying burn you at the stake, and I'm gonna hold you to it. Be like, look, you're laughing. Look, you're laughing at this.
Okay, if it's gonna be that way, then why shouldn't I take it seriously? Why
Yeah,
should I
you're
take it
dumb,
seriously?
Hank.
I'm dumb, and he wants me dead. So why shouldn't I respond as if it was serious?
You really, Hank? I can't even. How do you even
All he needs to
validate this
do to show me
reply?
that it's not serious is post a retraction. That's all I'm requesting. But you
No,
refuse
no,
it.
I want one of these other three guys to tell you that Snafu is seriously gonna
I
come to
I
you and burn you at the stake.
I asked him
Or
to
hang him
post
from a
retraction
tree.
today to make it quite clear that it's not serious, and he refused to.
Hank, because you.
Crediting yourself. Absolutely.
Okay, Hank, do you remember whenever Snafu went to Paul's and Paul was like, hey, this is a pedophile protection place over here? Do you really think that's what Paul's doing? Or did he say it because Snafu came over and said you protect pedophiles over here? So when you
I
want him
really
to
don't
tell
care.
you,
It's
I
irrelevant.
think you do because you blew up my channel to where I had to get 24 hours no comment. And you're trying to send me your little fiat power
what
game.
Paul does in his show is irrelevant to me. I just asked for a
Right,
retraction as late as today.
sure. How do I get my
Why
show
should
on
I
that
not
list?
take it seriously?
How do I get my show on that list?
Probably Snafu.
Yes.
Shut up,
Having
idiot.
Snafu around will
You
get your show
idiot.
canceled. Yes. That's
No,
how you
how
get on
do
that
I
list.
get my show irrelevant to you?
Yeah, it would get your show canceled, removed from YouTube. So just stay around Officer Snaps.
What do you no? How do I get my show irrelevant to you?
Yes, just keep Officer Snaps around. YouTube will pull it, and that's how you become irrelevant to everyone.
Guys,
I'm not talking about everyone, Hank. I'm not going to lose my channel.
right.
I'm asking how do I keep you from keep showing up looping your Snap said he's going
Tom,
to terroristic threats.
Tom.
Jack,
Try
this is
being-
partially your fault. You and
It's
Flow
partially
State have
yours,
enabled
too.
this dude.
So have you. I've enabled you.
No, I've enabled
Yeah.
him to acknowledge the things. You guys enable him and tell him he's right about stuff he's not right about.
Tom, okay. Every time we want to cast criticism, you really do want to look at you. Okay?
Oh, you don't cast criticism?
I'm offering you
Hypocrite.
suggestions that I apply to myself. When I criticize,
I don't apply what you apply. I'd be a fucking loser if I did what you do.
No, you'd be a lot more happy.
I am happy when I'm wrecking your stupid faces.
Well, if he's such a loser, why do you continue to try to wreck his show and teach him the way that you think is accurate? That right there is a walking.
Because stupid motherfuckers like you think God and the devil are the same person, and so I should correct him.
Like you don't even know scripture. Fuck you talking about, bro?
Right.
Exactly.
Oh, but yeah, give it a week. Give it a week, and you'll totally say the opposite, Goblin. You're a fucking idiot.
Tommy, didn't you hear Snafu earlier? He said he wanted someone that we know to be hanging from a tree. How is that not like threatening, Tommy?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, he's disconnected.
And he says I just shouldn't take it seriously. I asked for a retraction so I can be clear that he's not serious, and he refused to retract the statement. So I'd be foolish not to take it seriously.
And you would also be foolish to believe a fool that contradicts and discredits herself daily.
Exactly.
Well, I'm seeing a lot of foolish things, to be honest. And I'd encourage you to be careful, Hank, and others. If we should make sure what is our true intention. If our intention is not peace, if it's just to show someone else that they're wrong, we might not have the right idea. Because there's enough people trying to prove each other wrong. And offering correction, it can be done a number of different ways.
So, Jack, what way do you recommend showing correction when I wait peacefully and calmly ask for a retraction if the alleged threat wasn't serious.
Well, if you can trust the threat wasn't serious, which it wasn't. I mean, here's the deal. That's the problem with liars. How do you know when to believe a liar when all they do is lie? And we got a liar returning. Hey, before we bring the liar up, I'll bring up a friend. Welcome back, Jesse.
Hey,
Coming in with some noise in the back, though.
I got
How
your
you doing?
message too, Jesse. I got your message.
Yeah, you
It
coming in
wouldn't be mine. I had my mute on, so
it's
sounds
you.
like a vacuum or something. I don't know.
I was mute.
Yeah, no, here. It appears clear.
Okay. How y'all doing tonight?
Feeling truly blessed. I am. We were just discussing some of the agents of chaos who love to join these panels and test everyone's patience. And most recently, we've got Snafu in the back, and the topic of, the problem with liars is how do you know what to believe when they show themselves to be untrustworthy?
Hey,
This
how's
certainly
Jeff?
explains
Hey,
the-
Jesse actually loves those men/women, the transvestites, right, Jesse? That Jesse's into transvestite shit.
We didn't ask the question.
I think people like Jesse and Hank should be burned up the stake.
I'd like to see him try.
That don't sound like love to me.
Yeah, he's the demon of the internet, right? He's walks around, saying he's aligned with God, but he acts like a demon. Like he is a true demon.
I don't understand how King Stephen can spend time with him without freaking vomiting. That doesn't make any sense.
He's probably the originator of the actual Salem witch trials. It wasn't those girls. It was like a dude like him.
I can see how those witch trials happened. A bunch of fearful fools running around casting accusations to get revenge or to create themselves a competitive advantage. This is the thing I've been learning. The topic came up, or the idea came up earlier in discussion. Learning in maturity, developing which battles are mine.
Yeah.
Snafu's got a lot of battles he's blamed me for, but he's showing how he's out of his mind.
Yes, and I kindly asked him to retract his statement. So what do you think to do next? I think it's time for correction.
And support is also available.
And hurt people, right? So obviously he was traumatized, probably got sexually abused as a child. So he goes around, pointing the finger at every single direction. So, you'll know them by their fruits, and the stuff that comes out of their mouth is most likely what's happened to themselves, and they blame everybody else for, instead of just dealing with and coming to, some type of, dark night of the soul and being able to release that. No, you got to cast hate on everybody because you can't deal with that within your own self.
Yeah. Jesse,
I like to say sometimes I think it's literally evasion by accusation. Look over here, look over there, just don't look at me, because a lot of that stuff probably is like, roosting at home, Snafu. It's not, that hard to figure out, by the way.
Well, it's a number of things. I mean, it's all true. It's a sign of unhealed and confusion. But the world we live in, it allows people to continue in their unhealed confusion. Snafu is at least one experience. I mean, I've mentioned I've been dealing with a pattern for a long time. People assume to know me. They misunderstand me, accuse me of horrible things, and what it's shown me is liars believe in lies. Snafu, here's the deal, Snafu and Polly Boy and many other people, they're emotionally wounded. They're strong because they're carrying around unresolved trauma, but it's pretty clear they're wounded. That's why they're bullying everyone else online. And rather than deal with punishments and getting people's channels taken down and reporting them to the police and the authorities, if anyone could encourage Snafu to shut up and listen, if he treated me like I had something to offer him for an hour, if he learned from me, he'd come out a better man. Same thing with Paul. Same thing with my son. Same thing with Donald Trump.
Yes, but do you understand what encouragement looks like to those people?
Do I understand what looks like to who? Opinion?
What encouragement looks like to them. Just listen to what comes out of their mouth. That's what they think is encouragement.
Bitter people won't find encouragement, they'll find problems. They'll have a focus on mistakes and flaws, and you didn't offer it right, and you didn't say it right, and you didn't do this right. So this is what I've realized. When people are wounded, people like animals, they get wounded and they kind of get scatterbrained. They don't think clearly. They will bite. Online, I've been allowed to face a lot of insanity, but from a safe distance.
So, with these people, they'll get encouraged when they get in a position when they feel, I done goofed. That's what they'll receive as encouragement.
When they
have the feeling that they done goofed up.
Doesn't dissuade Snafu at all, as far as I can tell. Tommy might still have a little bit of, he probably still cares about what other people think about him, but Snafu, he's sealed in darkness as far as I can tell. He's gone, and he doesn't care.
Well, tell you what, let's be patient for just a moment. I'm going to try this out. We'll see.
Hello, Talcott.
Are you listening, or are you just?
And I'd like to go by the list. Let's start off, and don't mute me. Let's just go by the list. You talk about God and Jesus. Jesse Link, he's a tranny loving, new age bullshit piece of shit, mocking God and Jesus all the time. Let's go to Hank, the gay black jabbed witch, self-admitted witch.
No,
I'm just talking about your guest. Right?
Hello,
they're all into witchcraft. They're all into pedophiles, and they're crying because old Snafu and the crew got their numbers. And yes, back in the day, they used to burn witches at the stake. And God forbid me saying, God, I miss those old days.
You know, you're playing the role of the accuser.
I'm not accusing. It's the optics, dude. You haven't seen Jesse and his tranny fucking loving podcast with a man dude and the new age bullshit Jesse spits out?
Hello.
That's optics, dude. Same with Gay Hank saying he's a self-admitted witch.
Hello.
All right, go ahead.
Hello.
I'm just telling you, panel, bunch of Snafu haters are demonic fucks.
So important for you to share all those insults.
Yeah, because they're demonic fucks who fucking hate God and Jesus and want to fucking play this game. And they should all be burned at the stake like that.
You're running with demons. You're running with demons, showing yourself to be a fool.
No. Am I the demon?
Yeah.
How am I the demon when so if I hang out with trannies and mock God, if I say I'm a self-admitted gay witch with a torso I blow loads on, like hey, then I'm not the demon.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Jack. Breathe. Breathe. There you go. Eyebrows unfurled. Good job. You're good. You got this. You got it, brother. You taught me. See, coach on coach action.
Snafu.
And that wasn't being gay. I was not being gay.
Snafu.
Yes, Jack.
I want you to consider something that I know you know is true. I actually like you the best when you shut up. When you're silent. That's when I truly appreciate you. Okay? So, I love you guys. I'm trying to figure out what
where did
do
Jesse
we
go?
do.
Did Jesse run off because he knows I was about to destroy him with his tranny loving fucking optics?
He probably got tired of your foolishness.
Yeah, he's a tranny loving piece of shit. He wants our children to be fucking dicks on.
What are you doing? You are so disassociated from this present moment. Chill
Bro,
out.
I'm not the one interviewing delusional people.
Chill out or leave. You're focused on what you're not the one doing. You need to look at what you're doing, boy. Check yourself.
Yes, check yourself before someone else has to.
Hank, shut up. I'm looking for trees.
Good idea. Find a tree, become present.
On it.
Become present. Become present with the tree. Give it a hug. Feel its strength. Feel its wisdom and its aid.
Tomorrow, plant a tree for everywhere. Plant a tree for tomorrow.
A much
I'd honestly take him seriously if he had a more like respectful way that was less vulgar to address said behavior, right? But by the way he acts and talks, it's like blatantly what he's calling out.
Thank you. How do I get, brother? This is the key, right? People do this when they're not of sound mind, when they're not in the mindful with Christ. They're selfish or prideful or fearful. They'll project all their behaviors onto you. And if you don't see what's going on, you can take it personally. I mean, certainly the accusations come out at me because they see things in me that give them reason to think that.
Telling you, man, you got to change it to the Jack Talcott Exorcism Therapy Hour. Maybe let's even get a call. Let's even get a call out to the Vatican, see if we could get an ordained, commissioned order from the church. You know,
brother. Yes, I actually think this. What if that's my path? What if these are like my, so to say, my level bosses in this adventure, right? This game of life, because new levels bring new devils, and Snafu and Paul and Tom, these guys are harmless devils, but golly geez, man, they make it hard to love. Well, they're easy to love, but they're hard to be patient with, at least for me.
But who should determine if they're harmless or not? Shouldn't it be like the person they're attacking?
The facts determine.
Oh, okay. But there's a fact that he contacted your friends and family and my friends and family just to try to get them to do his bidding for them.
Yep. He was, for Snafu in that case, Snafu was given ideas and opportunities to serve the devil or God. He chose to enable lies and enable hatred towards me publicly with his false accusations and his desperate belief of rumors. He and so many others. It's funny to me, but it's not funny either. There's so many people that are they're hell bent on making sure that Jack is known as a failure.
Yes. So the fact is that he was first to cross the line to take us out of the Panaverse and into real life.
Yeah. To some degree. To some degree, yes.
Yeah, and any degree is enough. And he's not letting up. I asked him to retract his threat, and he refused to, and he already crossed the line. So,
well,
it
Hank,
follows that he is an actual threat.
You might believe that, but if again, from my perspective, Snafu is a perfect example. He has the opportunity to go from 0 to hero.
Yes,
right?
and when I gave him an opportunity, he refused it.
It's not all about you,
on
Hank.
making the same threats.
It's not all about you, Hank, especially not here.
Yes, but if it costs me my own life, then I'm as dumb as he says I am.
I know, but it's not about the life. It's about what's possible. I suppose if you want to imagine that there's a threat on your life that could be possible, you can believe that's real. Sure.
Well, I asked him to retract it, and he refused to.
Right, and people don't always do what you want. So do we
Yes.
hold that over them? You just continue assuming the worst, or
I can't. Well, what's the best I can assume? That he's lying about wanting to have me killed.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, you got to think about it, Hank. You got to think about it logically, right? You don't have hundreds of thousands of people that watch you. You don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions by any means. I mean, that'd be great if you do, but if you did, then yes, that would be a concern. Knowing that you're probably just like the rest of us, an ordinary person, probably deters the fact that there's actual threat to your life.
Ordinary people die each and every day.
Oh yeah, you could walk out onto the street and get hit by a car, but I doubt that would be his fault.
Well, you can have your doubts, but I gave him the chance to retract his threat, and he refused to. And you're saying, well, we can trust that he won't do anything. When we have the facts on our side that he'll take things into real life.
Well, I guess legally we have an argument there. Just make a letter, have a letter prepared in case you go, and then we can just blame him. You got all the witnesses.
Yes, you can have a candlelight visual for me, but I'll be dead.
I think the probabilities there are very slim. And this is what I mean. The ego mind will take little bits and pieces, create a story, and that story becomes important, so important that we might lash out and attack other people because we told ourselves a story we believed.
Okay, so I shouldn't believe him when he's talking to our families, trying to ruin our lives.
Have you issued filing a restraining order? Because law enforcement can track down the IP addresses and figure out exactly who it is. I mean, it's a digital. You're leaving a digital footprint online.
I can't give them a restraining order because they don't care enough to do anything about it yet.
Well, do you see what I'm saying? If the law may think that it's not really something that's concerning at this point, do you think that they might be correct, or do you think it's negligence on their behalf?
We know the law isn't correct because we're on here every day talking about how the law is incorrect.
Again, Hank, I think it's possible. I don't want to judge. I don't have enough information, but I do have the details of mine. Yes, Snafu has created a lot of false accusations. He's gone out of his way. I'm sorry to hear that you dealt with it as well, but yeah, he's gone out of his way to sabotage me online and in my real life. And my real life happens to be online. That's part of my path that I hope to succeed. So having fools like Snafu in my real life publicly attacking my character, well, here's what Snafu has before him. He's got an opportunity to prove himself to be a better man. He can do what's right by Hank. He can do what's right by me. Allegedly, he has contact with my family. All he's got to do is ask him why. What prevents you from giving Jack a chance? What stops you from having a conversation with Jack? Snafu won't do that because he's never trusted himself to have an honest conversation with me. It's a bizarre paradox I found myself in. But Hank, we are a part of that. Snafu is a part of this. He's going to play his role, and we'll play ours.
Yes.
But
Think about this.
Jack,
if I'm unwilling to do anything to protect myself, I'm as dumb as he says I am.
Jack, just as a side note in regards to the family thing, hey, has anyone ever, maybe you've had this recollection yourself, but like, has anyone ever had the conversation with you that there's this kind of pattern that humanity seems to work? I guess you could use the sheep herd as a great example. And when one strays from the flock, I don't know if you've ever seen the meme of the sheep going off the cliff and the one straying from the flock, the shepherd's trying to bite it, right? The dog. And it's like the sheep are just going off the cliff. So I'll just leave it there. I think we're all pretty aware of how sane or insane we are. And I think most of the time when our families are free, the politics of late are a great example. Most of the time when our families, stray away from us, it doesn't necessarily mean that one or the other is right or wrong. It's just where we happen to be. We have different paths in life. What they think is important might be privacy, security, and for you, you have a higher purpose that you're choosing to pursue.
You're right. There's a lot of factors involved. And actually, I know this. For me personally, it's by God's grace that this happened. The separation between me and my son, I sent him a letter recently, and I mentioned this too, that I think the separation was for both of us to become stronger and wiser apart, so that when we reunite, man, it'll be even more special than it was before. And so I trust there is a purpose. There's a greater purpose, a greater plan. There's a perfection to all things. Finding ourselves aligned and accepting the perfection, even the painful moments, have a purpose. And if everything happens for a reason, then sincerely, brothers and sisters, yesterday's topic was about joyous celebrations, joyful celebrations. I feel in my heart everything is coming together. In my past, I never thought of the idea, but it's true. God is real. God is real and God is with us. And I trust God's love is there for us all to know.
It's a very bizarre time. If you read the ancient manuscripts, I've had these conversations with my brother, the Machine Lies, all the time, because you have to have a genetic connection, right, Jack? And we do, whether it's the multilingual background we have, whether it's just being a part of cultures that aren't of the Anglo-Western descent. And it's quite common in these old manuscripts, whether it's the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, the Guru Granth Sahib, the Quran, these old books tell us even in Taoism in China, tell us quite clearly that there is specific spiritual frequency shifts on Earth. And there was a time when it's called the Satyog, the age of light, where the benevolence of mankind was at its peak. That's where you had these Godhead consciousness, what we call Christ consciousness. You didn't just have one of those, you had many around the world, which is where you get these religions from. And now we live in a time, according to these old cultures, called the Kali Yuga, the dark age. Kali means black, Yug means age. And the dark age is a time where the selfish will triumph, evil will triumph, and the good will suffer. It's the hardest time to be alive as someone who cares, as someone who's compassionate and empathetic. And you will face so much struggle in this time if you were a good person. But, these are things that you have to look into to understand better. And if you don't, then there's no explaining why life is so hard.
I don't know the right details.
He nailed that, Jack. 100%.
Yeah. But I understood that we're at the end of that dark age, that we are here right around this period. This is the transition. We may be experiencing this, and it feels like that's what's happening. There's a spiritual revival. The messages of the esoteric and the mystical from the times past, they're being retrieved and shared again in different ways, different cultures, but it's all bringing us back to the same things. Unity.
Yeah. And that's why I often point to people, because with people that speculation, innuendos, these things don't make sense. I point to people. I point Madame Helena Blavatsky, Aleister Crowley. You look at even in current day, Marina Abramovich, right? These people that are heavily involved in the occult, heavily involved in these esoteric things that we are told are sacrilege in the Judeo-Christian world. So it's like, why is it that these very powerful, successful people who are in suits, designer brand clothing, making millions of dollars a year, so obsessed with these things that we would consider in the commons absolute crazy talk?
Probably to keep their conscience clear.
It's a deflection to distract from the fact of what's actually happening.
Well, it's all those things. It's the result of mankind separating itself, allowing secrets, keeping wisdom from others. That is evil. See, and if you take in these ideas beyond the religious, but with the concepts of God and the devil, God is truly the giver of answers. It's the one who allows us consciousness and the awareness of information and ideas. Truth is our path to God. To grow in wisdom is to grow in value, truly. And so
here's how I have it determined myself. I have it determined in myself that I am, in fact, a good person. And it's I have it, and even if it's just an option, and just let bad people do whatever they want, so it doesn't make sense.
I think that's the concept, right? I think that's the concept, Hank. Like Jack's saying, if you look at like the Luciferianism ideology, right? God made us in His image. So you speak to high-level Masons, you speak to people who are involved in these kind of esoteric fraternities and sororities. They speak of themselves as if they are God. This is why AI and all of this stuff is so important to these people. They're spending so much money on it. John D. Rockefeller, right, Jr., he had, 11 heart transplants before he died? You'd be lucky to get one, folks. So they're very aware of what comes after they're done being alive because of the knowledge they've garnered throughout the decades and the centuries. But also, there's a sense of, you are God. You can become the very thing that created you. And the orthodox concept is that is a fallacy. It's a blasphemy. You cannot be what created you, but because what created you made you in its image, you can then do your best to live out a life in which it would be proud of you, not disappointed. And I think that's just kind of what I think.
What does the Bible say about it? Because we ate from the tree, surely you will become as gods.
Right. You're talking about the Eden, yeah? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd like to hear about that with Jack. What's your thoughts on that, right? Because that's a huge thing in regards to the esoteric occult. They say that Lucifer was trying to free the mother and father of our humanity from a limited life, and God's preventing us from achieving whatever, you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful story that God has allowed us to learn of and participate in. And it makes sense. To be like God, you would know the difference between good and evil. The best way to know evil is to experience evil. So God allowed mankind and space and time for evil to be experienced. And all the while, we've had the options. Who do we serve? Do we serve our selfish self, the beast of who we are, or do we serve the greater good? And the greater good is what God's plan is. God's plan is for the greatest good. And I trust in that because of the wisdom that I've learned from different philosophies, different explanations of sciences and stuff. God is the truth. So when we're sharing conversations with each other, we're actually sharing God with one another.
Right.
We represent the God who we're aligned with. If we're aligned with a God who's distant and punishing and real judgmental, guess how we're going to behave?
Right. No, I get it. Yeah, it's you are what you eat. Your environment makes you. It's like Nude just put in the chat. Did the chicken come before the egg? It's a very unique thing. No matter how much we discover as a society, as a species, we'll never get that answer truly until after we die. And those that die can't come back to tell us. Right. It's a fascinating test he's put upon us. And I always look at it as two theories. My theory is this. You have parents. They have kids at home. They're gone for vacation for the weekend. They entrust the children to be responsible. The kids may throw a house party, whatever they may do, right? But when the parents are home, the behavior of the child is not becoming of what they would do when the parents aren't home. So I look at it like that. That's the concept of free will. The credibility for your actions is far greater when you know there is no authority. If we all knew God was real, then boom, everything would change. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now. It's all just a question thrown up in the air. And then the second thing, yeah, go ahead.
It's the same thing even with the rapture. Where is this?
Guys, go mute, please. Go ahead, Goblin.
I was just gonna say that's actually the same concept with like the rapture thing, because it says he'll come as a thief in the night according to scripture. So if everyone knew when he was coming, they would hurry up and shapen up. You know what I mean? And I actually agree with what Jack said. I 100% agree with what he said and what God is real said as well.
And then just really quickly, the second theory is the Masonic theory, right? And this was a theory that I was, I discussed with people when I was in school and stuff, and it really shocked me because the concept was so intriguing. But as you get older, you begin to realize it's that, like that quote, the greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing everyone he doesn't exist, right? And what their theorem, from what I gathered, is essentially that Lucifer is the greatest employee of God. Lucifer is a double agent. Lucifer was the most talented, most intelligent, most beautiful angel in the heavens. When Lucifer would stop to play music, he would, and most people don't realize this, all these Bible haters, Bible thumpers, this was in the Quran too. Lucifer is mentioned as Iblis in the Quran. The Dajjal means the devil, right? So the stories are very synonymous when you get into reading these, when you actually do the research, the dots are all connected. And this idea that he was sent here with a third of the fallen angels to then create his own kingdom, distract us from the word, right? That's why God sent his son, according to Christianity. And even according to Islam, Jesus is mentioned more in Islam than Muhammad himself, their most revered prophet. So they call him Imam Mahdi in the Quran. And so you look at the story, and what the Masons say is that Lucifer is essentially the double agent in regards to the person who is going to tempt mankind. And if you fall for the temptation, you can't blame the devil, therefore. Because he tempted you doesn't mean he gets to be your scapegoat, right? And I thought that was so interesting, Jack, coming from people like the Freemasons, right? Because it's like, whoa. So you're basically saying you're all a part of this game, and by doing it, you're forgiven from any, consequence.
It's brilliant. And there's so much wisdom and ideas in that. I actually found comfort in that idea as well. The devil's like a cruel older brother. And Jesus is like the good older brother, right? One of us is going to tempt. They both know the rules of God. They both know the glory, the power, the perfection of God. But one of them is going to work to see if we'll slip up, to see if we'll throw each other under the table. We'll take advantage of each other. Because the devil doesn't make anyone do anything. It offers ideas.
That's a shiny key that you just shared, Jack, because that really is what it comes down to. Same with the Anunnaki concept. It's all the same, just like what God is real is saying. And there's also similarities with Lucifer going over to India as well as Jesus.
Dude, that's part of my story. I have Lucifer in my house.
But is God really Jigsaw from Saw? Is that what God really is?
Oh God, what? I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's like my other brother just said, like the Anunnaki. If you look at these stories in India and you look at these stories in these old cultures, the Anunnaki is an ancient Sumerian reference, and it was translated by Zachariah Sitchin, who's heavily criticized, but also very, very commended too. And this guy, showed us that the cradle of civilization, where we first developed, like mayoral candidates, like mayors of small villages and stuff, or sewer systems, communal areas, places of worship. It was in ancient Sumeria, where Iraq is today. Ironically, our government's been so involved in that area for quite a while now. And, there's stories of this ancient kind of technology there, but that's another topic. The Anunnaki term to me is so interesting because I don't know if you guys are familiar with David Icke. He's this guy from the Isle of Wight in England, and he was big on like the reptilians, and he said he was the Messiah on some TV show, so he kind of made a name for himself and was called Crazy Wacky, but wrote a lot of books and had a lot of speeches, did tours, and there's a lot of people that, including myself, that are familiar with his work. And he interviewed a gentleman named Credo Mutwa, who was a shaman from Africa, who mentioned the same thing. And in Africa, they called him the Chitauri, which in the Marvel comics are the aliens that help Loki invade Earth, if you've seen the movie. So you see Hollywood put these references in. In India, it's called the Nagan, the Naga, the serpent race. In every old ancient culture, there is a reference to these supreme elite beings that have had sexual intercourse with our women and created a royal bloodline. And I would refer you to the story of the blood of Cain and Abel, the brothers in the Bible, right? It's all this stuff is, guys, it's very correlated.
I'm sorry, I just don't really care that much about conspiracy candy when I can't get a guy to retract his death threat against me. I'm sorry, I don't really care.
Let me add some context, though, just in case I do grab you a little bit. All right, a lot of the native tribes, they called them the ant people or the sky people, right? And this is the same concept over and over and over, like throughout decades. You could see UFOs throughout even the ancient paintings and all kinds of stuff, man. I just wanted to tell you that there's this. It comes down to every religion, not just the majority. It's every religion.
So Hank, because I know you do this, and a lot of people do, but I think we can have a respectful debate about this. When you say conspiracy candy, because obviously you're very involved in the spiritual too, so it's like what I'm kind of getting at is there or is there not blatant evidence of spiritual, supernatural interference in the higher levels of mankind? Like, is that a conspiracy to you? All of this evidence that indicates that, or the people at the highest pinnacles, the cream of the crop of society, that are into this stuff? Like, what do you think about that? Why is that conspiracy?
Here's where I'm coming from. Yeah, here's where I'm coming from. I'm not that worried about very spiritual interfering or not when there's literally a guy in the backstage that refuses to retract his terroristic threat against me. I don't understand why I should prioritize the lizard people and David Icke when there's literally a guy in the back refusing to retract his terroristic threat.
Wait. Okay. I missed the last part you said, but okay, I understand what you mean. David Icke is a crazy person, but what I'm saying is let's take a step back and just look at all of this, and it's being addressed, whether it's by David Icke or people from cultures thousands of years ago, indigenous people from around the world, whether it's pyramids on ley lines. I mean, there's old cultures that have had significant, influence to this day, right? And so it's like, I don't know what you said there about the terroristic threat. I don't know if you're still talking about
There's a guy in the back refusing to retract his terroristic threat against me, and you're saying I should worry about those other people. What about them? And you're being told, your life, it's not really that big a deal.
No, Hank, I understand, brother. You're dealing with something personal right now, and I apologize. But we're on a live stream having a talk. That's all that was. Sorry, Jack, go ahead.
Well, yeah, Hank, there's something going on here, buddy. Because you're like all fixed and focused on the guy in the back. He's not in the back anymore. The threats against you, they're not real credible. I mean, if you feel like you need protection, we can We can find whatever needs you need to bring comfort, but
Okay, I need a retraction. I need a retraction.
Why?
That's what I need.
Why? Why do you?
Why? Why I need retraction? Because that's why I need to feel safe. You say it's not really that big of a deal. I need because I enjoy life, and I'll fight to keep it.
Hank, listen to. There's a lack of logic in what you said.
Okay, there's no logic in trying to do something to keep myself alive. There's no logic. Just let him. Let him do what he wants. It doesn't really matter. There's no logic.
Hank,
please explain.
We elaborate. Hank.
What I'm trying to say is that you alleged that you can't feel safe until crazy ass Snafu retracts one of the 1,000 lies he has said. You're playing into a game and you're pretending like it's real. I don't understand why.
Because the easiest way to know someone's out to get you is that they say they are. That's the easiest sign.
Yeah, but you're on the internet, bro, on the underbelly of YouTube. Like, we are not a viral, trending social media TikTok star community. Like, this is crazy. Like, you know what you need to do? I don't know if you support the Second Amendment, but you need to get a gun, bro, because it sounds like you're having a hard time sleeping at night about this stuff.
No.
This callousness is which is why I don't like society.
Jack's
callousness
no.
right here.
Hold on, God is real. No, we don't need to do that.
The thing is, though, that Snafu will never do that because Snafu knows that if he does do that, he acquires another actual real life, large capital case L for loser. And so he can't do that. He can't, he always has to say face, and that's, it's never going to happen.
And Hank, Jack cares about you. We care about you. That's why we're telling you it's serious, bro. If it was
I'm not convinced that you do care about me.
No, because if it was that serious, we'd tell you, brother. I practice law. If it was something that concerned me in regards to your livelihood, about you being alive, I would report it to the police. I don't play this shit. That's what I do for a living. I'm a criminal defense attorney, so if I thought you were being endangered by someone online and it was confirmed by other members of the community, I'm sure I wouldn't be the only one that would report it to the police.
Yeah, I'm sure you have a candlelight visual after I'm gone, and I was an idiot, should have did more.
We're not talking about that. What we're saying is we think you're being a little paranoid and letting this guy live in your head rent free, Hank. You're our friend, and we're trying to tell you that.
I honestly don't think you really care if I went. I'm just being honest with you. That's point blank.
Hank. That's another illogical assumption because we care.
I don't know that you care.
Well, then you're in denial.
I'm in denial because
we talk daily. You don't think that anyone cares about you, bro? For real?
Hello.
Yes.
Hank,
yes.
We do care. We do care.
Then get your daddy to retract his statement. Or you're banned from my show.
Wait, how is he Steven's daddy? What? I'm so confused.
What are you talking about?
Officer Snaps, get your daddy to retract his statement, or you're banned from my show, King Steven.
I don't have a daddy. He's not linked with me whatsoever. You're paranoid, Hank, but you're okay. You're just getting emotional about something. I didn't even hear about this till right now. I just came on now.
Okay, that's a lie. You were on Illumi Tommy's show. You're on the same panel the last time he did, so that's a damn lie.
Got it.
Illumi Tommy's win.
Jack, you see how the devil works? If it's not someone attacking you, it's something else. The devil is overtime in it, man. 80 hours a week overtime pay, bro.
It's the devil. Fun. It's the devil that I listen to what people say to me and I take it at face value. It's the devil.
Actually,
Hank, the devil is in the detail. Sorry,
let me paint another perspective. Sorry. And Stephen, the devil is in the details. It's in the details. We get overwhelmed. We get confused. But consider this. If, in fact, God is the truth, conceptually, the mysterious truth that's hidden in information and knowledge that we share, the devil, the agents of chaos, They are those disruptive thoughts, the distractive ideas that keep us away from learning, that keep us away from reconciling and forgiving, Hank. Snafu is an opportunity for you to grow in your compassion, forgiveness, your strength, and your boundaries. You know, it's all a fine line we got to navigate through, but we don't want to become like those who attack.
Okay, then where's the line? Because he says the line's my head. Where do you think the line is?
No. What we're telling you is the line is not under anybody's control. The line is a reality, and that reality is what we're trying to tell you. Like, this guy is a fly. It's a gnat. Like, you could swat this dude. There's nothing to worry about. Like, if he is harassing your family, that's just more evidence you have against him to file a restraining order. You know, you have power right now, not him.
Okay, so he thinks the line's my head. You think there is no line. Anyone else?
Yeah, you know, he's accused Jack of, you know, the SA thing, and Jack still entertains him. So, you know, I mean, that's not life, but it's like the next thing to that. So, but the thing is, you know, we can't here on panel be showing Snafu any love, and then Hank think that we actually care about him. So we got to give Hank some love too. That's all I'm saying. But
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, my main concern is Hank's, you know, like Hank's, whatever happens after YouTube, I don't want Hank to spend time in his real life at home or wherever thinking about this guy. Like, I don't think he's that much of a problem. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
No, I don't think he is. I mean, the thing is, it's Snafu is a total hypocrite, and Hank's job is basically to just reveal that to everyone, basically, because Snafu is going to hide behind the fact that he is actually the same color as Hank, you know, and that's why he can say hang from a tree and all this whatever, and he thinks that he's getting away with it because he's got that right to do that, which is asinine, because basically all that's doing is telling white people that it's a dang joke that you would even say that to get offended by that, because Snafu uses it like it's like, you know, a normal thing. It's ridiculous. But it does show the absolute hypocrisy of Snafu, because all he does is virtue signal and accuse. Meanwhile, he's sitting there telling the other black folk that he wants them to see them hang from a tree. It's ridiculous.
Hey, DeFreak, thank you. And Hank, let me offer this. I don't know if I can offer a lot, but this is a good idea for me to show some solidarity for Hank. He's been absolutely disrespected. The line has been crossed by Snafu, and he doesn't care about much, but he sure cares about getting his voice heard, and I think I might be one of the last places he's been allowed. So, Snafu, or to anyone who knows Snafu, he's not coming back here until he does come correct with our friend Hank. Hopefully that can help.
To me, bro. That's why I said earlier there's a time and place. Jack, I got to get out of here. I just want to say before I run off, man, I want to link up with you and the God is Real again shortly in the future, if possible. This guy's got some knowledge, man. Y'all have a good day.
Yeah, you too, bro. I appreciate it. I'm always tuning in. I don't have a channel anymore, guys. I used to have a pretty big show back in the day. I had judges on, you know, attorneys, people from all parts of the world, England, India. It was multilingual too. I had it in Hindi and Punjabi, but I got 3 strikes during peak COVID because I would let people, you know, express their First Amendment, and YouTube didn't like that. And I've been appealing it to this day, and I just don't really have the energy to go through the work of starting a new channel again. So I try to support your guys' panels because I really think these panel verses are, you know, the last cry of free speech we have before we enter this brave new world that Aldous Huxley warned us about, or even 1984 by George Orwell. You know, it's like we're the last cry of, hey, let's have a talk about it before it's gone, right?
We are. And hey, thank you for sharing that, because I saw questions I meant to bring up in the chat. People were asking earlier if you had your own channel, but sounds like you have experience. You've got enough going on your plate. However, if you ever get the willingness to share some experience, you've learned lessons I'm sure I could learn from you. And we align.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, especially with you, Jack, what I've realized is when you're doing something right, that's when you get all the haters, right? Like it's think of like fashion, like the people that change the trends of fashion, they're looked at as, morons. Like it's frowned upon, but then it becomes what everybody's wearing a few years later. So
I'm a
it's
trendsetter. I'm a
yeah, you're
trendsetter.
exactly. You're a trendsetter, Jack. Like King Steven, you're a trendsetter, bro.
Yeah.
So just don't let the haters get to you. Keep doing what you're doing. You have a great way of dealing with these guys. I would just shut the stream down half the time, but
No.
you work with these guys, man. You're like they should start paying you, man. You're a great free
Don't
therapist.
shut the stream down. I'm getting an echo, but I just want to say here, sometimes I get painted in the wrong light. I do have a caring heart. I do care for Hank. And even if we've had our disagreements, I don't support anybody on YouTube or the internet sending any death threats or violence. I'm against violence. I'm against violence. I would never support somebody chopping a head off or hanging someone for a tree or, anything like that. Whatever it was. I don't know what it was, but
It was inappropriate. Thank you,
yeah,
Steve.
yeah.
So here's the thing. I don't, because Will. Okay, so we don't really need to ban him from the show, but if he does keep this rhetoric up, he's not gonna have a good time at all. I'm sorry. So, and if I do happen to go, all it's gonna show is the hypocrisy and unawareness of Jack Talcott and his audience. So I'm gonna pay a target on my back. So if I somehow go,
Not
it's
a
not for
target,
Winston.
Hank.
He's right?
Hank,
I'd hate to be wrong about that. Like, you're right. It would be very Hippocratic of me. It would be very ignorant of me to assume that this guy Snafu isn't some deadly hitman that's on contract with the CIA. But it's like I don't know, bro. I really like you, and I think you're letting this YouTube stuff take way too much control over your life. Like, this is literally. And I don't mean to offend people when I say this, because some people do get offended, but this is not like people don't go onto this app and find you guys. Like, you have to do some real digging to find these panels. You got to know exactly how to look up these algorithms and lives. So Hank, trust me, these people that are giving you a hard time, as far as like,
I don't have any good reason to trust you.
Just really quick. I feel like you would have more to worry about if you got into an argument with a drunk at a bar where you live, as opposed to people on YouTube, especially these communities. And I say that with the whole heart.
I don't go to the bars. I don't like talking to drunks.
Well, then even better. You're safer for the more.
I don't either. I don't go to the bars to talk to drunks, Hank.
Yeah,
Hey, I do.
So the thing is, I just think you're just very ignorant. Yeah, to be honest, I think you're just very ignorant. You don't understand my life situation. You don't even understand I even have a job outside this.
You may be right, Jack. You may be right, because I don't really tune in. I don't spend 50 hours a week on these panels. So you may be right, Hank. Maybe this guy's dangerous, and I'm sorry if you feel offended by my ignorance. I just out of what I know about people, especially on the internet, I don't think you have to worry about this guy. And I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I'm willing
sorry
to
if you're offended. Okay, I don't think that's.
Hank, you are getting a bit paranoid. You think there's a team. You think that I'm on Snafu's team. I don't even know the guy. He comes on my channel once in a while, drops in the chat, just like the rest of the panelverse. I'm not on his team.
What about team? On your show, you'd call us Team Evil. So you think we're on a team?
Yeah. So
I do use that term. Go ahead.
It's time to start wrapping up. I appreciate
All right, man. Love you, Jack. God bless you guys. Everybody on the panel, God bless you guys, man. Love you. Hey, Hank, stay up, bro. You'll be fine. I'm sorry if you think I'm not taking this as seriously as this.
Yeah, and if you're wrong, well, I screwed up. It's my responsibility, of course.
Hank, I don't hang Negroes from trees. Do you need private security? Do you need somebody watching your place?
I told you what I need, and you're just not listening to me.
I'm trying.
I don't care if Snafu is banned from the show. In fact, I prefer him keep talking, keep putting more rope for himself.
Show wouldn't protect you physically. Do you need physical security? Do you think?
I'll tell you again what I need. I need a retraction, but other than that, he can just keep talking as much as he likes.
Well,
I don't care.
This then. The next time I see Snafu, I don't talk to him outside of YouTube. If I see him come on my channel, I'll say, "Hey, can you come on? Can you give Hank a retraction?" I'll ask him for that.
Hey, Steven.
Yeah.
Would you witness for Snafu?
Would I what?
would you witness or testify that Snafu is a truthful man in court?
Would I witness for him? I said I don't know him that well. He just drops on my show, so I don't know for sure if what I just heard about this situation before I came on, like right when I came on here today. I don't even know what happened.
So that's probably false, and I'll probably do a stream on it tomorrow about it. But that's about it.
I was busy all day. I wasn't watching any of this stuff.
You were literally there on Tommy's show. You were literally there on panel, and you're saying, "Oh, I don't paying attention."
Hey Hank, remember I'm ready to shut down. We've been talking about you and your worries of snafu for a while now.
Yeah, okay? It doesn't really matter. It's just kind of in the way.
Okay,
I'm out.
Much love, my friend. Thank you.
Okay.
He's upset. He's triggered. That's what these panels do. They allow us to interact with people who are quite different than us, and sometimes those differences are a little unsettling. But I have faith in Hank's safety. I do. Thoughts from you guys?
God will protect him. I think he's just a bit paranoid, and he's having a moment. I've never seen him this upset before until today. But I don't know Hank really. But I don't know what happened between him and Snafu. If I can play a role of being a peacemaker, I will do it though. I don't want Hank to be harmed. I don't want him to be worried. So
absolutely. All right. Thank you, Stephen. I know you showed up late. I appreciate you joining.
Thanks for having me on. Take care, everyone, and have a great week this week.
Blessings to you, brother. The Freak.
Yeah, so earlier in the week there was a show, and we were talking about surviving and being out in the woods, and I don't know if you remember that, being able to survive out in the wilderness and stuff like that. Well, I just want to say to Hank, I don't think Snafu could actually survive breathing, so I don't think you have to worry about it so much. But I do appreciate Hank showing the hypocrisy of Snafu, Tommy, and Vanity. So that's it. Thank you.
Much love to you, my friend. I appreciate you. And sincerely, to all who joined, be patient. For those who are still around, last chance. Do you have something to offer?
I was going to allow them to talk to me. I've been in the backstage this whole time, and
guess we missed it. Sorry, Snafu. You didn't bring what I was looking for, so we'll try again another day. God bless. To our brother, God is real. You brought another again, some encouragement. Not just you, but Denizen and all of the Freak, all of the conversations we had. Blessings. Brothers and sisters, this life we're living, this Sunday adventure, the idea of today was Sanctified Sunday. Allowing and inviting the Holy Spirit to work through us, allowing the Holy Spirit progressively, it becomes more of us, and our worries, our fears, our limitations become less and less and less. And those who align with Christ, those who align with the goodness, the truth, and the faith and the love of God, well, they shall sin no more. And really, if you stop and think about it, this stuff is true. That's right. Earlier in the live stream, I shared a couple of links. I think I'll put them in the description later. There's a discussion on meditation, the practice of bringing your mind and your focus into your current state of being, so that with your current state of being, in the stillness of being, you can feel the gladness, you can feel a comfort in your heart. And with a comfort in your heart, with love leading your way, brothers and sisters, the future is yours to create. The future, life is where life is happening. It's happening right now. What we do now is going to affect our tomorrows. And I have so much faith that the actions of today, the love I'm offering forth, I have a feeling in the future it will be returned. And you, my brothers and sisters, you're a part of this adventure with me. Join me. Celebrate your Sunday in your way, and do the subscribe thing, hit the notification. We'll tune in again in the future. We'll see what the future brings. Until next time, thank you. Choose love, peace for everyone, and live without fear. God bless us all. Peace.